Hello everyone, here we are at Daytona, and this has been a great week of racing, and today's race has been the big highlight that I really want to share with all of you. And I've been driving the Porsche 963, my favourite of all the GTPs, with a nice Audi livery, calling back to when the LMP1s were the proper prototypes around here. Now, it is a big highlight race today. There's a lot to get through because we are starting at the very back in P12, but we are going to make our way up that pack, and it's going to take some effort to do so. Now we're waiting for the leader here. I'm just watching and seeing because I can't see too much of that big Acura wing, so I do miss the start here. But we are going to get positioned straight away because the Cadillac behind us is playing it very safe here. Rightly so, because on my experiences this week, there have been a lot of lap 1 incidents, especially here into turn 1 because everyone is just so bunched up. But we're going to get through cleanly on the first time round here. Everyone is slowly getting into temperature because these cars really are difficult to drive with no downforce and no tyre temperature. And I'm just going to ease the car through. The Porsche is definitely the best on the cold tyres, but I'm still going to play it safe here. There's a lot of time in this race. We have 35 minutes around Daytona with 1 pit stop, so there's a lot of strategy we can play for here. Now I do see the opportunity with the Porsche braking late there on the wide angle, so I do go down the inside, just want to get a clean line myself. But he's actually going to hang it out there, and I'm going to have to see the position to him here on the turn into the oval. I do brake a bit earlier, but he's also playing it very simple here, so we do lose a bit of time, but I'm not too worried about that at this stage. It's just simply getting through the lap, as we are going to be coming around the NASCAR bend now towards the bus stop. And my god, this week has been trouble for me here. But I put a lot of time into perfecting the bus stop because you make or break your lap here. And it has really paid off, which you will see later in the race. But for now, just slowing the car down nice and gently. There's a lot of understeer for me here. And that does mean that people can lose control. And we have one car off to the left. That is McQueen going off into the grass. Something about him fading there. And it looks like that was the end of his race. He did back out of it. But now watching the cars going 3 wide in front of us, they're sort of weaving about, and I really don't know what they're planning to do into turn 1, so I'm just going to give them the space here, because I'm expecting there could be an incident between them. I'm going to take a nice wide line here, really just trying to open up because I want to get on the power nice and early. And my turn in there lets me get down the inside of the Acura that suddenly found themselves going very wide there. I'm going to get another position now. I'm going to try and go middle of the track here, both to defend and see if I can get a clean line into the horseshoe. And that's working out for us nicely. We're able to get on the power. That Acura, though, is really having a good sniff up our backside. So I do have to be cautious coming into the second horseshoe, though I'm going to stay middle of the track here. Don't want to lose too much time because see, the Porsche in front of us has a little bit of a moment on the braking. So now the Acura is up our inside, having a good look there. I'm going to have to defend on the entry into the NASCAR because I don't want to give up the position at this stage of the race. We are losing time to the next group, but I do want to try and come out ahead of these guys before we get into the GT3 traffic. However, we still have this Acura around our outside on the banking. I do have the slipstream of the car in front, so that should pull us out ahead of him before we get into the chicane. This is going to be troublesome because he's still really close to me, and now he's actually going to go look to the inside, and I know he's going to commit to it, so I just have to brake early here. Hope he's not going to overcook the entry and just try and follow him out and get a better exit on him. I do collect a 1x there, but that was a really good move from him on this second lap, which I probably should have defended, but I didn't want to be too aggressive at this stage. I do want to get these places, but I'm not trying to push the car too much because the tyres are really not up to temperature yet. We're still struggling with a lot of understeer there. So as we come on to lap 3, I've lost a little bit of time to them, but I'm still closing right up, and I'm now watching the Acura going to the outside of the Porsche into turn 1. Going to be watching to see how this comes out for him. I'm going to take that wide line once again, really pushing the car out there, using the full track width iRacing has given us in order to get the best possible exit, and you can see that has worked out nicely because we are right behind these two in a good position to make use of any opportunities. And there's one straight away as the Acura seems to tap the back of the Porsche, which gives him a wiggle. We're going to go down the inside now using a good exit, and he's right with us until he pulls back into line, but there is contact between us. Thankfully it's not a 4X. That was quite a heavy hit, so I do suspect we might have got some damage. I'll have to have a look on the next straight. But now I'm just going to defend this because the race is on, and I want to get this position nice and secure so I can start working on catching up to that Porsche ahead of us not long before we catch up to those GT3s. So I'm to the inside. The Acura tries it around the outside. I can get just such a better drive on that inside line. However, he is still really close. And I know now this guy will try to overtake us into the bus stop if I give him the opportunity.
Right.
So I'm going to have to be full defend here, especially because I do not have that slipstream of the car in front of us. I can definitely see, looking at the Delta, we have some aero damage here because we are a lot slower in a straight line. So I'm braking very bravely here into the bus stop, just get the car slowed up and then focus on the exit using all of the curbing. And you can see Michael's move has cost him time now because he's under pressure from Daniel in the second Acura behind us. That's perfect for me because now that gives me a chance to break away. We can have a look here and you can see this is actually the damage that he gave us when he tried to come back into line. It could have been a lot worse, but it is certainly going to be affecting us now for the rest of the race if we can't get it fixed on the pit stop. Onto the start of lap 5, and Michael is under pressure from Daniel behind him into turn 1. So he's going to really send it onto a tight line. I have to give a little bit of space just in case he's there on the apex, which does compromise my exit. That's let Michael close up again on us, so I'm not able to break away from him just yet, but I'm hoping I can keep my pace up enough here just to catch up because James ahead is not that far away from us. And if I can get into this slipstream, that's going to help me clear some of the pressure that Michael is trying to put on us because he's being really aggressive at this stage of the race. And we haven't even got up to the GT3s yet, which is going to be a really dangerous time for this kind of battle. So I have to hope I can get clear of him before we get to that stage. But it's going to be made a little bit more difficult with that damage because I'm certainly feeling there's a lot less traction coming out the corners because of that reduced aero out the rear. And that's going to make it more difficult, that we're going to get a little bit of a gap this time coming onto the banking. That soon went away on the end of the laps. You can see we've lost time to James ahead of us and Michael is still very much in our rearview mirror. So I'm under pressure once again into turn 1. Michael's taking that tight line. I don't go as far wide this time because I don't want to let him get alongside me. I need to stay ahead coming up to the first horseshoe so I can defend to the right hand side because you can see he is all over the back of us here. He's really trying to force the issue. He's definitely not going to go around the outside there though and get such a good exit, and that's going to give me enough space hopefully, so I'm going to be more comfortable coming into this second horseshoe around the king, now flat out there, so I can brake later and just carry the speed into the apex. So you can see Michael's carrying a lot more than us. He taps the back. Thankfully it's a gentle one this time, so there's no damage to the car, and he's really trying to put the pressure on me, flashing his lights, trying to really get inside my head. This is as much of a mental game as it is a physical one between the two of us, trying to compete on who can get the better exit and who can force a mistake out of the other driver. But we're staying ahead for now. However, he is still really close in the slipstream, so I do have to be mindful of that. On the run down to the bus stop, he's weaving all over, being ultra aggressive, and the damage means that I just cannot escape from him at this stage. I've just got to keep focusing, maximizing the car as best as I can. You can see through the bus stop I'm absolutely on the limit of both the track limits and the grip. That's just about keeping us safe, but you can see on the run into turn 1 he's getting closer, flashing his lights once again because he wants to play the mind game. But he's becoming predictable because I know he's going to go for that inside line, so I'm going to take it this time. But I do brake a little bit too late there and lock up. He locks up as well behind us, but thankfully there's no contact. I got a little bit closer because I'm not as well versed on that tight line myself. But we're still through, and Daniel did have a little attempt at him there, but looks like Daniel locked up on the horseshoe, so he's now falling well behind the both of us. So this is now very much a two-car battle because I'm still just too far away from James in front of us, now pulling a big gap to us. And this is going to get even more dangerous because you can see on the banking ahead of us, that was some of the GT3 traffic, so they're coming up in a few laps now, and that's where things will get really interesting. But for now, we're still only on lap 7, but we're scrapping like it's the last lap. This is a good heated battle between me and Michael, and I just need to still keep my cool, keep competitive, and I should still be able to keep ahead of him because he hasn't got quite the same pace as we do. However, I was bound to make a mistake at some point, and coming into turn 1, I'm going to do the same like I did last time, just braking a little bit too late, so I do lock up. And this time Michael's going to square it off perfectly, so he's down our inside and he gets a good exit, which gives him a great little gap to us before he even gets to the horseshoe, meaning I had a lot to do just to try and keep with him. But onto lap 9, I'm just there over a second behind him coming into turn 1, and we have the first of the GT3 traffic right there in front of us. This is only a back marker really for now, but you can see the thick of it is right ahead of us. Daniel in the second Acura has also managed to catch up. He's still got a lot of pace on him, but he seems to at least be a lot calmer than Michael in front of us. Now this BMW, I know he's going to move over to the right here. That is the racing line, so I just keep my foot planted. And we're going to stay with Michael coming through the king, but you can see the real thick is just in front of us. And I'm using my experience to gauge at this stage where we're going to run into this traffic. I know we're going to be good at least until we get onto the banking, but we're going to definitely encounter the main part here as we come into the bus stop. So I need to make sure I'm going to be in a good position for that and try and clear as many of the GT3 cars before we get to that bus stop.
You're approaching
Now
some
we've got the
slower
first
cars.
two
These guys are
Mercedes here.
fighting
They're
for
not going to be an
position.
issue whatsoever. I just get a little bit of slipstream from them. You can see Michael's doing the exact same as I will be doing. This next Acura, we're going to clear them, but that second Acura, I can see straight away we're going to get them into the bus stop. So at this stage, I should have been planning to go a little bit earlier on the brakes, plan for the exit, but I'm coming a little bit too hot, so we're closed right up behind the Acura, and we get a bad exit, not helped by the fact they had a big wiggle on there, and that's cost us some time to Michael ahead of us, who got a much better exit. We're not that far behind though when we come onto lap 11, and we've managed to get through the GT3 traffic without any serious incident. We're going to get a great opportunity here because that is P1 and P2 of the GT3s, and these guys are really aggressive on defending because they don't want their race to be compromised by the GTP traffic. Michael's having none of that though, but that is really costing him a lot of time, so we are now right up behind Michael. I need to try and make sure I follow him through as best as possible. This is going to be dicey on the run in towards the kink. I've had to get a great exit in order to try and get past them before we get through the kink, and we just cleared the two of them. And that's now giving us free air, and you can actually see the other GTPs in front of us are not that far ahead now. Looks like they have all had some trouble in that GT3 traffic, and that is the benefit when it comes to this sort of race, where you can get this sort of redemption if the traffic works in your favor. But now though, I'm mostly focusing on Michael in front of us because I need to stay in his slipstream so I can start putting the pressure onto him, because we are starting to enter the second critical phase of this race now, which is the pit stop. I definitely want to try and be ahead of him before we get to that stage, and he might not even get there though, because it comes really close to contact with that GT3. And now I've got the difficult decision. I have to really send it now on this LMP2 to not let Michael get any further ahead. I left it to the inside and tried to broadcast it. I really hoped that LMP2 would have backed out of it there just to let me get through safely. That came very close, as we're going to see here. That LMP2 actually had to turn out. I really hoped that he would have backed out of it. It was an aggressive send for me, a very dangerous one for the both of us. It could have easily ended our race at that stage, but I was using my thinking there that that LMP2 was not really involved in his race anymore and would have been more likely to back out of it, seeing me coming down his inside. If you think it was a bit too aggressive, let me know in the comments, but we'll continue on for now because we are still chasing down Michael on the last few laps before we're going to be coming into the pits. You can see we have just under 10 litres here, so the car is really alive now. You can really send it on some of these corners, but the focus is still getting the best possible exit. You can see I'm taking such a wide entry here to get a late apex and get on the power as early as possible. That is the key to lap time in the GTPs around Daytona, because you just do not have the downforce. And especially with the damage I'm carrying, I especially don't have that rear downforce, which is critical to the exit on a lot of these corners. That's what's really preventing me from closing up on Michael ahead of us whilst he's in these sort of corners. So he is getting really good time in this sector, just focusing on the exit, though he does go wide there on the entry into the NASCAR bend, and that's just about going to keep us with him until the end of the lap, where we're still tucked into the slipstream, having exited really well out of the bus stop. And Michael's going to get caught out by his own mind game here, because he went into the pits but then braked and came out, and we're going to shoot straight past him, taking the tight line into turn one, making sure I get stopped up. Michael gets a bit of a scare because I am braking a bit earlier there, carrying a lot more speed than he is. And that's now put us back in front of him, and I really am going to fight to hold this position because I want to come into the pits at the end of this lap now, whilst I have the best opportunity to do so. And Michael's definitely going to fight us every tooth and nail for it. So he's going to be right there with us on the exit coming around the kink, and I am going to defend into the second horseshoe this time because I know he could try to send it there carrying all that extra speed. I'm going to focus on getting the car slowed up and hug that apex as much as possible, not let him get the switch back, and he's definitely struggling now with me coming in front of him and giving him some dirty air for his trouble. Now I just focus on getting a good exit coming onto the banking, really using the Porsche's power, and we're just able to pull a safe gap here. You can see he's at least 5 tenths behind us, and that's exactly what I needed, just to hold him off as we're coming up towards the bus stop, which is going to be the last critical part to this lap. I need to absolutely nail this now. I'm going to get help by the fact I've got the clean air and he's going to have dirty air in behind us, so I brake just after that yellow box on the right hand side, slow the car up, then start getting on the power slowly to avoid the understeer, and that's what's going to keep us ahead exactly as we needed to be coming into the pits. Michael's following us in though. He probably thinks he can do something fancy here, but we're going to get slowed down exactly where we need to and into the pit box perfectly. It's going to get tight though on the exit. I did let crew chief overfill us slightly, And most of all, though, we are going to be dealing with a lot of GT3 traffic on the exit. I did misjudge the fact that by coming in that lap early, we were going to come out into some of the heaviest GT3 traffic. So now I just need to try and work this as best as possible here. We're going to start with the Acura. We're definitely going to get them before we get to the King. But that second one, I can see we're going to get them coming into the horseshoe. I'm going to see where they're going to go. I'm going to go to the inside after the King and watch the Acura on the left-hand side. He's going a bit deep there, so I'm going to hug the inside, see if I can keep it and get a better exit, though it is difficult because those GT3s are very good on the exit. Not going to get the BMW on here, so I'm just going to follow in behind them, as again we know the GT3s can get better exits out of some of these corners, and it's again the same coming onto the banking. The BMW stays high, so we just duck underneath them. And now as the dust settles, we've got a nice little gap to Michael behind us. And the next GTP is only just 2 seconds up the road, which we can definitely make up now that the damage has been repaired to our car and we've got that extra bit of speed. 1 lap later, we're going to get helped as well because we see James in that pink Porsche makes a bit of a cheeky move down the inside. I don't think the second Porsche really saw him coming, which is why he still turned in for the apex. This is what I was talking about earlier with me going wide in order to avoid Michael. So we're going to rejoin just as this is about to happen. You can see James is just in front of us, sending it down the inside there. And we have caught up to the 2 lead GT3s who are still yet to pit once again. We've got to try and get past these 2 because we have the next lot of GTPs just there. But you can see they're still having none of it. He doesn't want me going down his inside there, but that's now cost him the entry into the first horseshoe. We have another back marker GT3 just keeping out of the way there. We also have Michael right behind us. We're going to get past these 2 coming into the King just about. You can see it was close between that last GT3, but we managed to get clear. Whereas Michael, as you can see from the onboard, is really being held up now, which is what we want because it can be so difficult to get around these GT3s, especially when they start defending like the P1 is doing so here. So Michael is forced around the outside and he just can't get a good exit because the GTPs really struggle getting the extra power down coming out of there. That lets the Acura pull ahead of him. That now has just cost him so much time and given us a great gap, so we can now start chasing down these 2 in front of us. It only took us 1 lap to catch up to them using the newfound pace that I had from not carrying that damage on us anymore. So you can see straight away we are actually gaining time in the slipstream of that blue Ferrari. And we have got another back marker. It's the same LMP2 from earlier. He's not going to be an issue into turn 1 just because we have so much more straight line speed than him. Now my plan is just to try and follow these 2 as close as possible and use the offset in our cars. The Ferrari compared to the Porsche is heavier, so it doesn't brake as well, but it does have access to an all-wheel drive system from its hybrid, especially because iRacing has not done any justice to these cars when it comes to how the hybrid deployment works, which means that it behaves more like a Formula 1 car. So you can see, as Austin's demonstrating there, he can really boot it out of the corner using the hybrid deployment, driving those front wheels on the Ferrari. But that comes with the downside in that the car is heavier, so it doesn't brake as well as the Porsche, and it also suffers from understeer in some of the faster corners like the bus stop. So my plan is now just to try and use that to get a good exit out of the bus stop and hopefully challenge him into turn 1, which is the main overtaking opportunity in these cars. Moving on to the banking, we do have some more LMP2 traffic. This first one's not going to be an issue for any of us, especially with the fact that I still have the slipstream from Austin in front of us to help pull me along. I'm going to use that as much as possible because the LMP2s are pretty fast, but they are thankfully slower than what they used to be after iRacing nerfed them to be more like their realistic counterparts. And the LMP2s are also quicker in the first part of the bus stop because they are much lighter than the GTPs, but we have that hybrid deployment system that allows us to get a much better exit. Now focusing on Austin, we are closing up a little bit, but he still has support from that slipstream of both the LMP2 and the GTP. I'm expecting at this stage I'm not going to be close enough to really pressure him into turn 1, so I'm just going to hold position, keep it nice and tidy as we're coming past the last of the GT3s for now. You can see though there's an LMP2 coming into turn 1. This is going to slow everyone up here because it's very difficult to pass the LMP2s through this mid-section of the course. They have a lot better entry speed into the corners and they have to rely on the hybrid deployment system to get them on the exit. Now the Porsche sent it down the inside into the first horseshoe. I'm just following suit, trying to get a good enough exit. I was expecting the LMP2 might try and move over, but we get a little bit of miscommunication there. Does come close on the exit of the kink, but we do get past them safely there. And now we have some more GT3 traffic, and I know this is really going to hurt them trying to come onto the banking. They are all pushing still at this stage because they are still very much involved in their own race. So I'm just going to take it nice and easy, focus on getting a good exit, though I get caught out a little bit by Austin there on the apex. I'm still able to get enough of an exit to keep with him onto the banking, and that Porsche stays high so we can avoid any sort of incident there. We have another LMP2 coming up, and I'm hoping that we should clear this guy, but it's not looking too good. I can see now we're not going to get them into the bus stop, so I'm going to come off the power and focus on a good exit. But we also have a GT3, so I'm going to really slow up here, expecting there's a potential for an incident, because you can see Austin had to really check up. I'm going to go far wide as well, because I'm expecting that LMP2 to also want to get past that GT3 traffic. Now, after all that, we have lost contact with the Porsche. It is now just me and Austin, and this is going to be a perfect opportunity for me to start pressuring him while he doesn't have the support of that slipstream, and especially whilst I can keep nice and tight with him through this infield section using the agility of the Porsche. I'm still watching ahead of us though, because there's some smoke, and we've got a GTP that's gone wide. Looks like that's James, and it's distracted Austin, sending them wide, so we can now go down his inside trying to get the better exit. But that Ferrari is just so good, and I have to back off in order to let him get ahead into the kink, knowing though that he's going to get slowed up by this BMW in front of us. Now I just follow him down that inside, make sure I stay nice and tight. There's been more contact in front of us. That second Porsche looks like he's tagged a GT3, and they are now side by side with Austin on the exit, coming into the corner before the banking, watching what's going to happen between them, and they lock up again, and this time going into Austin. I'm going to try and take a super tight line here to try and get alongside at least one of them. We're now being held tight by that Porsche trying to push us into the GT3. I have to get my elbows out in order to get round them there, but we are now at least on the inside in the run down to the bus stop, so I have to make sure that we're going to make our braking point exactly in order to try and hold this guy off in case he tries to send it around our outside. Braking a bit later there, just trying to carry speed. He does come close to the back of us, but we're through safely, and looks like they've lost out on the exit because they've gone completely off the track. Now we can take a look at what led into that incident. We can start here into the horseshoe. He just outbrakes himself slightly, and he loses the rear, which sends him into that GT3. His tyres, however, are definitely cooked at this stage, which leads into this incident where he pushes Austin wide, coming out just alongside us. Now though, Austin is very much back, and he's got a great exit coming out of the bus stop, so he's now coming alongside us into turn one. We do have GT3 traffic on the outside, so Austin actually backs out of it here, just electing to try and follow me through. This is a great opportunity now though for me to try and break away from him on the infield section, so I'm going to be pushing really hard here because I can still see James is only just up the road from us. You can see he's coming into contact there, it looks, with a GT3 car, which is costing him more time and giving us an even better opportunity to catch him, and we might still be on for a P5 if we can do so. Now I'm going to follow this MP2 in. I'm expecting they're going to send it down the inside on this Acura. We're just going to try and follow him through, keep it tight again, and focus on getting that exit, because I need to be ahead of this Acura before we come onto that banking corner.
Car left.
Just trying to get there, but we actually get help because the Acura backs out of it, seeing both me and Austin. But we actually have another car that's gone off to the right. That was P4 previously, and they have completely lost it there coming onto the banking. And Austin has been held up by that GT3 car, which has really helped us out. Then one lap later, we have this curious incident. This is a back marker GT3 who just cuts the kink for whatever reason and then loses it, and then goes bowling, striking that LMP2 on the exit. Not sure what caused this sort of thing, but as we're coming up to it now, we are a second behind James in front of us, so we are very much in the race with them to try and get this last position before the race is over. And James really backs out of it coming into the second horseshoe. You can see he's really slowed up here, getting cautious because he doesn't want to get caught up in whatever might happen between those two cars. But they both hold position, and we are now right up behind James in the perfect position to start putting that pressure on him, hopefully trying to work our magic, because we could still be in with a chance now for P4. The leaders have definitely pulled away, so we're not going to get a podium out of this, but we can definitely get the next best thing considering how far back we started. James is definitely not going to be a slouch though. He may only be 2.2k, but he's up 5 places himself, and that is definitely on pace with how well he's been driving. And now I'm feeling bad because I can see straight away I'm not going to get past this Ferrari like James is. He knew he had to make that overtake there, and that has really cost us time as well, because that Ferrari was really slow through the bus stop, having to avoid him. It took one lap and I was just able to keep with him really, so I'm going to really try to send it on this last one, giving everything I've got to try and close the distance just in case something might happen with him here, because we do have a mixture of GT3 and LMP2 traffic. So if something happens or if he makes a mistake, we are very much in with a chance here, and I'm giving everything. But I do miss the apex there, so my exit is not quite as good as it should be. I can at least see now, and I'm planning this accurate. I'm not going to get him in the kink, but I should get the inside coming into the second horseshoe. So I'm full pelt around there, and I'm sending it as much as possible down that inside, hugging it tightly here. James has gone wide there, which has helped us close up a little bit to him. I can see straight away that white Acura is going to slow him as he tries to come onto the banking, so I'm trying to get the best possible exit here so I can get into a slipstream. I'm sliding around a bit though. You can see those blue lights of the traction control system are showing me that I'm just trying to get too aggressive on the power, but I have to be at this stage in order to keep with him. We're coming up on more GT3s. I'm using their slipstream as much as possible. I let this BMW know of an early move. I'm going to his outside, and now this is all going to come down to the bus stop. I need to get the best possible exit here. We're going to get help because there is LMP2s in front of us, which is going to give him dirty air, so I'm just trying to get the best possible exit. And James has actually gone too far over that left-hand curve, and he's got a slowdown in front of us. This is exactly what we needed, because now he has to serve that slowdown before he gets to the finish line. Otherwise, he's going to finish with a black flag. And we come very close there to hitting the back of James. And have to also then avoid the two LMP2s that are going too wide on this last lap. But we have done it. We have secured P4 as we cross the line, and we can breathe a massive sigh of relief at what was a very close ending between the two of us there.
Good finish, mate. Well done.
Hopefully you have all enjoyed that. That sort of ending should at least be worth a like and subscribe, and if it isn't, then I don't know what is these days. If you're also a new viewer, you should have a look at some of my other videos on the channels. I do try to put out these kind of videos on a near weekly basis. This race though was great. I have thoroughly enjoyed being back in the GTPs after so long, and the results speak for themselves because I am now back up to 3K after so long. That is now the end of today's race. I hope you have all enjoyed this, and I hope to see you all again next time.